What's going on, everyone? Welcome back to the channel and welcome to part 2 of the wonderful WrestleMania edition of How Good. I'm joined with the wonderful Ciaràn, the Kevin Kelly's favourite man in the whole world. Ciaràn, how you doing?
Yeah, good, thank you.
Not bad, mate, not bad. And you may be thinking, why am I here with a New Japan superfan? Well, we're here to talk about WrestleMania, and Ciaràn has admitted he's not watched a lot of WWE recently, but he's been to, did you say 2 WrestleManias?
Yeah, 28 and 33.
Fair. So we're here more to talk about the experience of WrestleMania, of attending as a fan. What's it like? But I guess first we'll just jump into some of the basic ones. What was your first WrestleMania? What's your earliest memories of the big one?
I've no idea. I've got a brother that's 5 years older than me, so I just grew up watching wrestling. It was always there for me. You know, my mum would stay up throwing a VHS to record it. She'd get up at 1 a.m. to record the pay-per-views for us, and we'd get up and watch it the next morning, you know, before or after school. So I haven't really got any specific WrestleMania that jumps out from an early time. I just very much grew up with the Attitude Era. You know, I was still in primary school when the Attitude Era was going on. So
fair. So sorry. What's your favourite one then? If you can't remember the first.
I mean, I've never was that die-hard WWE that I go back and watch WrestleManias. It'll always be one done type thing. Obviously, going to 28 and 33, I've got soft spots for them. WrestleMania 30, obviously, the most recent stuff was just top to bottom unbelievable.
Yeah, that's Mania 30 is always a bit a sore spot for me because it's the one WrestleMania I've missed since 2006. And I was at my friend's, and we were going to get the pay-per-view, and then there was a storm that knocked the skybox out. And then I woke up the next morning, and I was like, The Undertaker's lost the streak, and Daniel Bryan's the champ, and everyone's saying this has been like the best WrestleMania since 17, and we just like went to our beds with our tail between our legs at 11:30. And I've went back and I've watched it, and it's class. But it's, to me, I always just remember being there, and then it's like 11 o'clock, we go to buy it, and then the wind picks up, and then we just hear the satellite fall off the side of the house, and then we know we were done because we didn't even know about the WWE network. So,
oh God, no.
Yeah, I think it had just come out, but I don't even know if it was available to get over here. So we just kind of went to our bed all sad. But as you said, you've been to 2, so 28 and 33. So you were there for Rock Cena 1. And then there for the Hardy Boys coming back. I guess, obviously now WrestleMania is a whole week, especially more now recently. What's like the feeling like being in the city? Because even here in like Glasgow when I lived in Ireland, sorry, I cut you off.
No, it's unreal. You know, like they say it all the time. They really do take over the city. You know, you can't go anywhere and not see a fan in a wrestling shirt, or there's street lamps that have WrestleMania flags hanging off of it with different wrestlers. There's posters up all over the place. It's just, it's the mecca for a wrestling fan, you know. Just everyone there is just so excited, so happy. You're bumping into wrestling fans. Everyone's up for a chat. You know, it's just like a wrestling fan's dream, really. You know, to just bump into people and have all these conversations with strangers and everyone be so friendly. It's amazing. Yeah,
because, you know, like I say, even here, I live in Glasgow before I lived in Ireland. You know, Dublin and Glasgow, and even, I didn't live in Dublin, but Dublin and Glasgow are both quite big wrestling cities, and there's always like a something in the air around about WrestleMania time, but we're just going to a pub or going out to our mates. We're not actually there. Were you able to take in any of the indie shows when you were there, either of the times?
28, I don't think. 28 was in Miami, and it was kind of like my first real holiday, you know, away from the parents and stuff. And it's quite, at the time, I wasn't really that knowledgeable about independence. So I don't think I think it was literally, I'd done every Access session and then WrestleMania and Raw and stuff. And then for 33, I don't know if I don't think I did. I done WrestleCon, which I didn't at 28. And I wasn't sure whether to do Ring of Honor, which was the Bucks versus the Hardys in a ladder match, or go to NXT TakeOver. And it was me and my partner and another couple, and they all wanted to go NXT more, so we went to NXT, which I regret in hindsight. But no, I don't think I've done any of the indie shows that surround it.
Fair, yeah, because obviously there's loads. I came very close to, I think it's £150 for the GCW Collective last year, came very close, and then I was like, wait a minute, I'll see if this COVID thing pans out, if that's all it's cracked up to be. And then it was indeed all it's cracked up to be, and we missed it. But yeah, no, it's one of those things. Like for me, WrestleMania, I'm dying to go. Wrestle Kingdom as well, I'm dying to go to. They're just, I just turned 21 in November, so got a lot of time to still go. But it's like, me and my mates kept saying we don't want to go out to America to War 21. We don't want to go to WrestleMania to War 21. So hopefully the next few years we can head out. But I mean, with everyone leaving and the rate at which they bring people back, it's a bit painful. But here's a question about 33. Being there live, what was the Goldberg and Lesnar match like?
I really enjoyed it. I thought people were really up for it. Like, all things considered, it was as good as it could be. We weren't expecting a 20-minute technical masterclass. You was expecting something quick, and I think it done exactly what it needed to. I really enjoyed it. And that's the thing about being there. I think no matter how poor the WrestleMania is, if you're there, you're just going to love it and enjoy it for the spectacle and the experience, and the fact that you're actually there with, 70, 80,000 fellow fans that are just losing their minds.
Yeah.
But no, yeah, I loved the Goldberg Lesnar match.
Because I loved it as well. I was watching that WrestleMania with my friend, and he absolutely hated it. And he just couldn't seem to understand why I was going so nuts for it, but also why the TV felt like it was going to burst with the noise because everyone was just going mad. It's one of those ones, though, that I don't think anyone going into that was overly excited for it. And it was like they knew we need to go in and just have a big car crash match, and we'll send people home happy. That was as well the Undertaker leaving his jacket and stuff in the ring. What was that like being there?
It was really weird. Like, nobody really knew how to react. Everyone was like, well, I guess this is definitely it. Undertaker's done and dusted, And I was like, well, I'm glad I'm here. I'm glad I'm here for it. And then obviously a year later, he's back again.
Yeah.
And the next year. But yeah, it was really weird. Like, it was all very long. Like, by that point as well, WrestleMania had been going on for 15 hours. So you're trying to enjoy it, but it's difficult. And it was in Orlando as well, so it's bloody hot. The sun's sapping all your energy. But yeah, it was really weird. It was just nobody really. It was really emotional, but nobody just really knew how to react. You didn't know whether to cheer or what. It was just really somber.
That was a nice thing. I was going to ask you actually, because the two ones you went to, Miami and Orlando, WrestleMania is a long day, a very long day. Not so much now. Obviously, last year was over 2 days. This year's over 2 days, and apparently the rumor is they don't want either show to run over 3.5 hours this year, which is exactly how it should be done. But what when it gets to the main event, when it gets to Rock Cena, when it gets to Undertaker Roman, how are you feeling in that moment, being there all day in the Florida sun?
I think it really changed. Like 28, I don't remember it being a chore, like a marathon at all. And in the 5 years since then, it's clearly WrestleMania's just gone bigger and bigger and bigger. Like, they've gone from a 1 hour pre-show to like a 2 hour pre-show, and the main card itself has just gotten longer and longer as well. Like 28, I felt fine, but 33 was quite a struggle. We wanted to get there for when gates open so we could enjoy the spectacle, see it all. And there was just heaps of. It was in the middle of nowhere. I can't even remember the name of the stadium, like Camp Stadium, something like that. Something with camping out.
Camping World, I think.
But it's just, maybe it was in the middle of nowhere. There was no shops, and there was just tens waiting to get in, and the gates weren't open, and there was no shade. There was nothing, and I think a few people actually passed out around us.
Yeah.
So once we got in, it was great, but before that, it was difficult. Just having to hang around and wait to actually get in, it was difficult.
Because you always see, there's always, for some reason, for the past 6 WrestleManias with fans, there's always been someone on hard cam, within view, with a Celtic jersey on. There's always someone with a Celtic or an Ireland jersey, and I'm just thinking, you're from either Glasgow or you're from Ireland. How are you coping? I know that the WWE released a documentary about 33 on the network, and they're there are fans for all over the place here. And there's people we came from Brazil, we came from Italy, and then there's just these 4 lads all in Celtic shirts. We came from Glasgow, and 3 of them are horrifically burnt. They're like pink. So I've always wondered, like, just the, with the length of it all, because when you mentioned there the main card's getting longer and longer, I think 35 was the first 2-day WrestleMania unofficially, because the main event, Charlotte, Becky, and Ronda went on at like 12 in New York, because the card had been going on for like 7 hours, which was nuts. Yeah, because I was over at my friend and he had school the next day, and we went to our bed at like 6:15, and he was up at 8:30 to get in the bus. So
yeah, I've done that before.
Yeah, I was thankfully out of school. I was just up and staying at his, and I just went home in my own time. But it was not fun. So obviously you were there for the Undertaker's retirement, but what was it like with Cena Rock? Because that's the most bought WrestleMania ever, probably the biggest WrestleMania main event of all time. And at that point, The Rock was slowly becoming the biggest man in Hollywood. Was there more of a feel around that WrestleMania from outsiders and people who aren't fans interested, especially in Miami?
Yeah, I imagine so. I feel like 33 was a bigger spectacle because of it was in Orlando rather than Miami, which is obviously more touristy and stuff like that. And the actual stage setup for 33 was like the best of all time, with the roller coaster and the giant spinning ball. But yeah, like, people, friends of mine, family that don't care about wrestling were obviously like really interested to know what 28 was like because of The Rock. And, they had their two big entrances. Kelly performed for John Cena, and then Flo Rida performed for The Rock.
That was how I discovered Machine Gun Kelly, and now I've got a tattoo. That was how I discovered MG.
Oh, bloody hell.
Little 12-year-old me was just...
Yeah, no, I think it's all been a bit sour for me, that though, because it once in a lifetime, and then the next year it was Cena and Rock again, and it's like, oh, okay, so it wasn't so special after all, which is the problem with WWE in a way.
It's always that, because and that match as well, I've went back and watched the first match a good few times, and I love that match. And then the second match, Rock like tears his quad like 5 minutes in, like right off the bone, and it just then leaves a sour taste, because it went from once in a lifetime great match to trying to up it and an immediate injury. So
the second one, didn't they just like hit finishers straight out of the gate? Wasn't it like just basically 10 finishes each?
I think so, something a bit nuts like that. So out of the two WrestleManias you've been to, what's the best match you've been there for?
I love the end of the era, Triple H, Undertaker, with Shawn Michaels as special guest referee in Hell in a Cell. I can the almost 3 count when Undertaker takes a Sweet Chin music from HBK and he turns around into the pedigree. I was like, me and everyone else in streak is done.
Yeah.
And then it was such a close 3 count. And I've got there was some nachos on the floor near me, and I jumped up and kicked, went flying down the stairs for the rest of the show. And there was quite spacious on the floor, and some dude was literally like running laps around it because he just lost his mind. And I've got such a clear image of this dude just going berserk.
That's fair enough.
I've got such fond memories of that. And again, it was like, touted as end of an era, it was 20-0, and everyone was like, oh, maybe this is it for Undertaker. And then, to be fair, he came back and had a match with CM Punk, which was great. But I think I can't remember all the cards, to be honest, from either show. But definitely, I'd say the Hell in a Cell end of an era match.
Fair. And would that go down as your best moment as well, the kick out that you've been there for?
Either that or the Hardy Boys coming back. There was rumours of it. I met both of them, Jeff and Matt, at WrestleCon. And as I walked away from Jeff, I jokingly said, I'll see you Monday. As in, I'll see you Monday at Raw. And obviously then they showed up at WrestleMania instead. And I didn't think it would be them. Like when the New Day came out and were like, oh, we're going to make a triple threat or whatever it was, or 4-way. I just assumed it was going to be the New Day. I thought, it's not going to be the Hardys. And then the music went off, and because we're up watching the Hardys, and everyone loves the Hardy Boys, and it's just unreal.
I remember me and my friend, we were doing like a predictions for it. And he told me he'd shave his head if he lost, and he didn't. And I was all and it was one by one. It was won by that match. And I was all, the Hardys are going to win it. He's like, well, they're not even in the match. I was like, I know, but the Hardys are coming back and they're going to win it. And then we're watching it together. And then the New Day start walking forward, and he's like, oh, so it's the New Day, not the Hardys. And I was like, I was so sure that they weren't coming out when the New Day started walking forward. I was so terrified, but I just had to look at him and be like, let's just wait a week. And then the music hit, and it was amazing. Like, I can only imagine what being there for that must have been like.
Yeah, no, I think I was literally on my chair jumping up and down.
Yeah, that's fair enough. But as we mentioned, though, WWE sort of they love to you know, fill our little hearts full of joy and then punch them to death. So, is there any moment that you remember of being a very like WWE moment that just sort of, because Mania 28 is a great WrestleMania, but it's pretty much carried off the back of the main event, End of an Era, and CM Punk and Chris Jericho. Because I went back and I looked through the card, and it's got a lot of weird stuff on it. So is there anything that you remember being particularly naff?
Honestly, I can't remember the WrestleMania 28 card at all, other than the stuff that you just said. Daniel Bryan versus Sheamus was 28, actually. That was kind of cool. You know, we all lost our minds at Sheamus winning in whatever it was, 18 seconds. And that, you know, kicked off the whole yes movement the next night at Raw. And it's really cool that I was there to experience all of that in hindsight. But I think Undertaker versus Reigns was just awful. You know, there was botches. Undertaker couldn't get up.
See, I don't mind that match
for moves, and you know,
if I take my weird dickhead internet fan brain out and just look at it for the story, I love that match. But then I can't do anything without taking my weird internet fan thing off, because I do watch. I'm like, bit naff. But
I don't remember it that well, but I can remember. I like the finish, how Reigns done like a super spear where he bounced off both the ropes a few times. I was like, that's a good way to finish it. But like, it turned into, you know, I'm going to kick out 5 tombstones, you're going to kick out 10 spears. You know, there wasn't. Yeah, I guess it was quite flat, especially the fact that he won as well, and you know, no one was a fan of Reigns at that point either.
Yeah, fair. So you said as well you went to the Raws after both shows. What was it like being there for Reigns and This Is My Yard Now? What was that? Because not to the same level, but when I went to Raw in Glasgow, it's when Charlotte was at the height of her, pretty much Charlotte wins, get over it. And it was coming into Survivor Series, and there was the 5th member not announced for the Raw team. And it was obviously Bayley, but all the Glasgow fans just started singing for Bayley. And every time we'd stop, Charlotte would pick up the mic to finish her promo, and then we'd start again. And we threw the segment off I checked my phone for 8 minutes. But then obviously on TV, because it's not going out live, they've just edited it down to like a minute of fans singing. But it was just 8 minutes of just uninterrupted. Oh, Charlotte's bringing the mic back up. We go again. I can't imagine that was anywhere near what it was like being there for that moment.
I thought what you was going to say about Brock Lesnar returning at first. But Roman Reigns, yeah, like we struggled to get tickets for Raw. And I found someone on Reddit, and he was like, he owns a box in the Amway Center, like executive box, whatever. And he's selling his tickets. He doesn't care about wrestling. So we got tickets in a box, which was really cool because we were, you know, proper comfy seats, and we could order food and drink to our little room, and we had a TV in our box. And it was with other Americans as well. And we're all in this little box. Obviously, we're all chatting along and everything. And the Americans were absolutely loving it because they hadn't really seen anything like it before. And they was like turning to me and our friends, obviously from the UK, and they're like, "This is all you guys, because you know, all you football and stuff like that. Like, you make it so much better over here when you guys come over for WrestleMania." But no, yeah, I was all for that. We was all heavily booing. We was loving it. It was absolutely tremendous what they done. Just I've got fond memories of that.
Yeah, just totally hijacking it. And then you mentioned Lesnar as well. What was that like being there to see him, you know, come back after 8 years away or whatever it was?
Yeah, again, it was rumoured, wasn't it? And there was people chanting for Lesnar, and Cena even mentioned something about it during a promo, and then eventually came out. And I jumped on my seat and I got told off by security. They was like, "Get down." I was like, shit myself. I was like, "Yeah, sorry, sir. Sorry, sir." But yeah, no, that was incredible as well. Like, I could like to see the fact that he's been with WWE for so long. I often forget. Like, I feel like he's gone and then come back again. But then I'm like, oh no, I was actually there when he returned. It was crazy to be there, considering how long he's now stayed around since as well.
Yeah, because, well, for me, because I was, 12 when that happened, so I didn't know about the rumours. I just only knew his music from like having the old PS2 games that I'd like buy for like £1 out of the pre-owned bins just so I could have all the wrestling things I could when I was a kid. And I just heard people chanting for Lesnar, and I was like 12, and I was like, but he's not with the company. What? Oh, there he is. But that's another one of the that's just magic, isn't it? Just the reaction he got. So I know, as you said, you've not watched WWE for a while, but is there anyone that you kind of see these days that you like the look of, that you think maybe if they let them go, you would like to see them go elsewhere?
Honestly, all I see of WWE is if something happens to pop up on my Twitter feed, or if I'm on Reddit to keep up to date with just wrestling in general. But if I happen to click into something, obviously I'm quite happy that Andrade's gotten released, because he was he's amazing in New Japan and CMLL before he joined WWE. It's amazing that they've messed up what they had with him, because he's just a next level talent. But no, there's no one like that. I couldn't tell. I feel like there's people that just weren't in WWE that have gone WWE, and I'm like, I wish they hadn't. Like from what I understand, like since Kushida left New Japan, he's really not done anything.
Yeah. They also claim that man is 6 feet tall, which means in WWE I must be 6'3".
Kushida, they say Kushida's 6 feet tall. I've met him a good few times. He's smaller than me, and I'm a very average sized person.
Yeah, I'm like 5'8", maybe 5'9" with a prayer, and I met him, and I am like clearing him by a good margin.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, since he's been there, he's had I watch every now and then, and he's having good matches, but it's one of those things. It's just I don't care. It's like you can have all the good matches you want. I don't really care about what's going on.
I think that's the complaint I hear about NXT now, is that it used to be great matches and everything else, and now it's just great matches. But it can't just be a great match by itself. It obviously needs more. Yeah.
I've been watching NXT. I've been keeping up with MSK, the Rascals, after they left Impact, because I absolutely love them. Watched all their stuff through the Dusty Cup. It was great. Cared about it, and then it was saying like it could be something like, up next you've got like Shane Strickland versus Kushida, and I'm like, oh, I care about both those guys, but I don't care about watching this, so I'm just going to turn it off and go back to my bed. I guess just to round up, we'll bring it to a nice wee New Japan question. What does a Wrestle Kingdom compare like to WrestleMania?
It's entirely different. Like WrestleMania, they take over. You've got Access, which is absolutely incredible. And if you're a WWE fan, it blows your mind. Getting to meet wrestlers. You pay what, $30, $50, whatever it is now, and you can meet the kind of mid carders, the low carders, and you pay the extra bump up if you want to meet the big names. Which I've done a fair few, which I've done multiple times in both WrestleManias to meet bigger names. Access is just absolutely unbelievable. And then obviously surrounding that, you've got indie shows, you've got Raw the night after, you've got NXT the night before, the Hall of Fame. Whereas Wrestle Kingdom is, in a way, it's kind of just the one night, now to the past 2 years. But my cat, sorry. Obviously, so I've done Wrestle Kingdom 12, 13, 14. 12 and 13 were one night, was 2 nights. And they had their, the Raw after Mania, they have New Year Dash, but that was always in Korakuen Hall, so it's basically impossible to get tickets as a foreigner. But then for Wrestle Kingdom 14, they had it in a bigger venue, and they set aside tickets specifically for foreigners, so I could go to that as well. And that was when last year Moxley showed up unannounced and attacked Suzuki again to get revenge, which was really cool to be there for. And it was Liger's retirement, of course. Yeah. But there are still, it's again in the same way loads of independents flock to wherever WrestleMania is. All the smaller Japanese companies will do shows around Wrestle Kingdom too. So I think when I went last year and the year before, I went to DDT the night before Wrestle Kingdom in Korakuen Hall. And Noah do a show the same day as Wrestle Kingdom in Korakuen Hall. And there's Stardom shows and there's other smaller promotions and stuff. So there's lots to do. But then in terms of actual wrestling events, there's not much, but there's lots of wrestling stuff just in Tokyo.
Yeah, because it's a massive wrestling
Minoru Suzuki has his... Exactly. Minoru Suzuki has his own his own clothes shop. And he's in Tokyo for Wrestle Kingdom. So odds are if you go to a shop, you're going to get to meet Minoru Suzuki. And which I've done every time I've gone. There's Todoken, which has tons of memorabilia from all different wrestling, merch, programs, DVDs, tickets. belts, ring-worn items or ring-worn masks. And it's just 2 floors of just wrestling gold. I've bought so much stuff from there over the years. There's a couple of just smaller wrestling shops in another part of Tokyo. There's probably more that I'm not thinking of as well. But the Tokyo Dome itself is awesome. I love the Tokyo Dome. There's just outside it looks amazing, and literally next door to it, there's a mini theme park that has a roller coaster in it and stuff like that. And then inside the Tokyo Dome, there's so much variety of food. You can literally get full meals in there and take it back to your seat or whatever. But they've literally got everything, seafood, pizzas, chicken. Literally, if you name it, they've probably got it inside the Tokyo Dome to eat. And I love buying. They do chicken nuggets. So I tend to just buy myself like 40 chicken nuggets as the show goes on and just sit there munching away on them. They're so good.
Fair.
I'd say Wrestle Kingdom is definitely more compact, whereas WrestleMania, there's a lot more wrestling to do and it's spread out over the week.
Yeah, fair. Well, Ciaràn, thanks so much for coming on. I would love to have you back on around Wrestle Kingdom time to talk about the experience of going out there. And we can dive deeper into the variety of food in the Tokyo Dome. So now I'll give you the platform to plug away whatever you want.
Yeah, sure. You can follow me on Twitter at CiarànRH, CiaranRH. And I write for a website about wrestling. I mostly write about New Japan, but we write about everything. That is WrestleIn, WrestleIn. And that's about it. At WrestleIn on Twitter and WrestleIn.com.
Perfect. Well, Ciaràn, thanks so much for joining us for the part 2 of this WrestleMania How Good special. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Subscribe if you haven't already. Leave a like, follow Ciaràn, and keep up to date with all of his stuff. And I will see you next time.